Hello everybody, I'm Malachi, and today I have a question. What would you do if I told you that there's a virus more contagious and more deadly than COVID-19? And that it's everywhere, even where you are right now. You see, it's a virus so deadly they're canceling churches. And they say it mainly spreads through surfaces, like your phones and your TV. And it's called fear. And fear can control people's lives and lead them down a rabbit hole of pain. And you see, I use the term rabbit hole because fear is just another link in the chain. One of my favorite quotes are from Yoda, when he says, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. So you see, anger can control your life and let it take you down this rabbit hole if you let it. A great example is in Numbers 13:27-28. This is whenever Moses sent his spies out to the promised land. They came back and they said, "We went into the land which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here's its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there." Then, skip to verse 30, then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of this land, for we certainly can do it." But the people that got up with him said, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are." And they start to spread rumors and lies about the place they have explored. They said the land they explored devours those living in it, and that the people who lived there were of great size. They even saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we definitely looked like that to them. And you see, because they didn't trust God's promise, they started to grow fear. And whenever they started to grow fear, they started spreading false reports. And I bet you that made the Israelites mad. Just think, I would be mad. You worked your butt off to get out of Egypt. You go on the longest journey of your life to a plan promised to you by God to be flowing with milk and honey. Then all of a sudden, just like that, gone. I bet you they were mad. But doesn't that sound familiar? Fear leading to anger. But here's the thing, don't get me wrong. Not all anger is bad. There is actually a godly anger that should never get confused with worldly anger, but oftentimes does. You see, the way you can tell these apart is by the outcome. Godly anger brings conviction and points all the glory to God, whenever worldly anger brings suffering and harm to you and everyone around you. And you see, even Jesus has gotten mad before. He started chasing people with whips and flipping over tables. Why? Because they started using God's house as a pawn shop and distracting everyone from God. But whenever he drove out the distractions, all the glory was able to be pointed back towards God. But as we talked about fear, anger leading to suffering, here's a great question. What is suffering? A great way to describe it is hell. Why? Because hell is eternal suffering. In 2 Thessalonians 1:9, God says they will suffer the punishment of eternal destruction, away from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his might. You see, in Revelations, he also says in Revelations 21:8, he says, "But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all believers, they will be confined to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death." That ought to give you a clue of who you're in the room with. You see, he uses the term second death. Why? Because there's no coming back from this one. But here's the thing. What if I also told you that there's a way out? And that there's always been a way out? You see, in 2 Timothy 1:7, he says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." See, God knows the struggle. He knows the pain. He knows what you're going through, and he could get you out. In Matthew 7:13-14, he says, "Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only few find it." You see, God went through one of the brutalest punishments in human history to give you a choice. But the better question is, which gate will you pick?